500 watts, half a kilowatt.
Paul, our installer, switches on the system, and for the first time we see power.
There we go. So you were generating 2.6 kilowatts from your roof.
Wow.
So now you are charging your battery at 2.2, 2.1, and you were consuming 500 watts from your solar. So you're completely independent.
That is my solar battery system operating. But what happens next? This is my journey as I learn how it all works, and I set up exports, but I do hit a couple of issues on the way that I hadn't anticipated. Part of the installation process is downloading the Tesla app to my mobile phone. Paul set this up for us. I never appreciated how empowering this app is. I'm absolutely hooked on it. Well, we now have beautiful sunshine, and the battery's been filled up. As you can see, 7.9 in solar at the top left hand side. The house, I've got Kathleen putting on the tumble dryer, 1.9, and the Powerwall is at 100%, and we're now giving the grid 5.9 kilowatts, which is not very good, as we haven't set up the payment system with Octopus. Having installed and connected the app to the Powerwall, the first task is to set up our power supplier's utility rate. That's basically the rates he charges us and the time of day. So luckily I have a brother who lives down the road, and he helps me with all of that. Is it? Octopus
you're right, 11:30, yeah.
Yeah.
There you are.
So 11:30
to
5:30, and that's at 7p.
Yeah, so we'll come to the rates in a second, but just set the periods now. How
does time-based control work? I'm just looking at the time-based control for the Tesla operation. Time-based control basically works around your energy supplier's tariffs. As we've just seen, we entered the Octopus electricity charges based on the time of day into the app. This gives the Powerwall battery a framework in which to operate. When the Octopus charges are cheap at 7p, it charges up. When the Octopus charges are expensive, 29.19p a kilowatt hour, we get paid 15p, and it discharges. Coupled with this, Paul, our installer, connected the Powerwall to the local weather forecast. From this, Powerwall is able to anticipate in the morning each day whether it's going to be sunny, in which case it will discharge the battery to prepare for all the solar, or if it's going to be overcast, in which case it will retain the power for the household requirements. The whole objective is not to pay for peak power costs.
And then basically mid-peak we want from...
So mid-peak is sort of when there's no solar, is it?
Mid-peak is the normal daytime rate, that mid-peak there.
So that's 9 to 10:30, which is what that is.
Then take this up to 5:30 now. 5:30 to 10:30. So I think that works. Okay, so now what you do is set your utility rate. So off-peak is buy at 7p.
Okay. 07, yep.
And sell, I mean, you don't want to be selling at this point, so I have it sell at 5p. Okay.
So by setting it lower than the off-peak, it means that you retain your battery.
That's right. Even if you put it the same, it's unlikely to do it, but it makes sure that it doesn't, that it doesn't try and sell it at the peak time.
So we've got off-peak, mid-peak, peak.
And peak has got exactly the same rate as mid-peak at the moment.
Okay, so what it's done here is just using the mid-peak over the two different time periods.
That's right. And so
mid-peak is a price range, which applies no matter how many times it appears in the schedule.
That's correct.
So we're getting 2 kilowatts of solar.
Yeah. So you're getting 3.1 from the battery. Yeah, so obviously a rounding error there. 0.2 from the... giving you 3.3 going to the house. Obviously the heat
we need it, the heat pump must be on.
Yeah. So what else is there on the Powerwall? So permission to export. Enable this only when your utility approves your system to export.
Paul said yesterday what he's got to do, he's got to now write to the DNO, tell them it's all connected, and the DNO then need to give him the permission. So he said, even though you've had the letter.
Yeah.
That's a letter of intent.
Right.
So he now needs to go and tell them it's connected.
Okay.
We're ready to go.
Okay.
And then that lets us go to the next.
Grid charging, yes, enable this while you're away. Automatic backup. Designed to automatically power your home during grid outages. Tesla recommends auto for most users. So this would be, it would just back you up, which is obviously a good thing to do. And this is Stormwatch. So if you wanted Stormwatch, you could set it. And then it would automatically, if the Met Office issued a storm warning for this area, it would automatically go into backup mode.
Here, 1.5 being generated, 1.2 going into the battery. The house is using 0.2. And the great thing is nothing is coming in from the grid. Forecast is a good day today. And the other thing I'm doing is signing up to Octopus. Outgoing Octopus, so that the excess solar, at least we're getting paid for it. What technology do you use? Wind, solar, hydro, solar, storage, wind, solar and storage. Ooh, maybe I'm using solar and storage. Okay, next one down. Does your property have a feed-in tariff? No, we don't have anything at all. What is your MCS certificate? So that's the next thing, and I'll type that up. I've got the certificate here. Has your district network operator been notified? Yes, it's been notified. Please upload the letter. I've done that. I agree to conditions. So now I'm going to apply for outgoing. And what's it going to say? Thank you for joining Octopus Outgoing. We'll email you with all the details of your switch. What happens next? Hang tight while we connect to your smart meter. Generally takes us about 14 days, so we can read it remotely, whether it's, well, I think you're already connected to it, whether it's one we've just installed or one we're taking over. Once you've connected, we'll set up your export. When we receive your meter readings, we'll contact the DNO to set your M plan and configure your smart meter. This can take up to 6 weeks. Oops! We'll let you know when your meter is sorted. In the meantime, you're good to go. Your tariff will change automatically to outgoing Octopus. You should see the change straight away on your online account. Ooh, that is brilliant. Thought I'd have to show you the historic moment. We're now producing 8.5 kilowatts of solar. The house is taking 1.1 kilowatt of solar. 6 is going export. 5.96 to the grid, and the grid can't take it all because 6 and 8 is 2.5, 1 going to the house, 1.4 is going into the battery. So what's actually happening at the moment is we're producing more solar than the house can use and the grid can take, and the battery is being topped up, and hopefully that'll just operate through the day. But we've got next 4 or 5 days of pure sunshine, and it'll be interesting to see how this works and whether the battery can accommodate it all. But a historic moment for us. Lovely to see. 6 kilowatt times 15p is 90p, and if we can do that every hour through the day, and let's say it's 8 hours, 8 times is £7 of generation costs. We'll see. I'm a bit like Jack and the Beanstalk. Was it the giant who sat in his counting house counting out his money? Wow, lovely. I want to talk to Octopus because I know we owe them £489, and that's really January and February's high energy usage, to a small extent December. And it's saying we're currently paying £68.94 on the 12th of the month, and on the 13th we're going to pay £233 of each month, which includes this. So they've really ramped this up, which is, I just don't think that's even realistic. You can see since the date we installed the Powerwall on the 22nd of February, the price, what we're now spending, that's the £5 line, and we're spending £2 or £3. You can see £3, £2.95, £1.87, £1.14, £1.17. So it's a big reduction in usage. What I'm going to do is speak to them and see what they have to say.
Yeah, perfect. How can I help?
Okay, I've had a email from Greg James, Account Health Manager,
Okay.
telling me he's going to increase the payments to £233 a month.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, if you look at our usage, can you do that?
Just having a look now. Yeah.
And if you look, okay, at the top of my page it says week before £39, last week was £12 usage.
Not sure where you're seeing that. Sorry. Where are you seeing that?
It's on the top of my Energy Insights.
Right. Okay. Because your last month's bill, so the 25th of Jan to the 25th of Feb, was £227.
What I'm trying to do is point you to the fact that I've got 12 kilowatts of solar panels that have come online last week.
Ah, right. Okay.
Okay, so if you look at last week's usage
Let's have a look. Bear with me.
compared to previous weeks,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying now. Yeah.
it's come down, we're trying not to buy any peak electricity. We've got an export of 6 kilowatt,
Yeah.
which we've signed up to. I can't remember what the tariff is, where we're getting 15p for every kilowatt hour. And,
Okay.
what we're trying to do is only use the 7p rate. With us exporting, I think yesterday we exported £5 to you, so that'll be a £5 payment in it.
You won't get paid for the export until it comes on Supplier with us. So I can see your application on the 1st of March. Obviously, there's a bit of a process involved in getting that set up. Most of it is out of our hands. But it's only once it actually comes on Supplier with us that you'll start getting credited for your export.
I totally get it, but that's all that is going into the bank, to reduce our payments. And I'm asking that you keep the payments as they were before.
Do you want to keep them as they were? No problem.
Because I think this should come down pretty quickly.
Sure.
For the Powerwall battery to export to the grid, I had to email Tesla with my DNO permission letter. They then enabled this feature remotely. I've sent the letter to Tesla asking them to switch on the export capabilities of the battery, and I've had a letter back from them telling me that I've done that. Tesla's support have been quite good, having told me that the Tesla battery is now set for export. I wasn't quite sure what to do, and it did say sign out, so confirm that signing out of your app won't be necessary. We simply suggest to log out of the app momentarily to access it again. Here are the steps to log out of the Tesla app. It started off being a lovely sunny morning, and I just want to show you the battery. 1 kilowatt of solar coming in, and the battery is discharging flat out. 6 kilowatts going to the grid, 5.1 going to the house. That's the kettle just off, and it's 10.1, and it's taking itself down to 68 from 68% where it is currently at, because it's charged overnight and it anticipates sunny day and it's creating storage. I just love the fact that it does all this without me being involved, and it is learning our usage in this house, and the less I fiddle, the more accurate the battery becomes. So yeah, wonderful. I look forward to a lovely sunny day. The great advantage of having a brother who has been through this before is that he passes on suggestions. Another was the Powerwall Companion App for the main PC, which I'll talk about here. I'm just coming to grips with this Powerwall Companion App that you can get for the PC, and I'm finding it quite useful. Let me just take you through it. On the side here, it's got home, solar, grid, battery. So if you click on the different bits on here, it can put the solar and the grid together, the grid on its own, the battery on its own, and so on. So and then there are various things at the top here, which I think is the home usage, the solar, I think that's export, etc. Oh, that's export from the battery. And then along the bottom here, you've got the rates that you've put into the Powerwall, so off peak, partial peak, on peak, partial peak, etc. And then along the bottom here, we've got the battery itself, SOC. I'm not quite sure what that stands for. And then along the very bottom, it's got battery 26%, solar 13%, grid 61%. I don't know what that's about. Grid independence 99%. And again, I'm not quite sure what that's about. But what it does let me do, if we go to the solar today, and it shows us what we've had this morning. And at the bottom here, because the battery's there permanently, we can see that it charged up last night, having discharged it in the evening, and then charged at the off-peak rate to the top here, and then it was full, and it was full early on, but the off-peak rate finishes at 5:30, and then it continued to discharge all the way down. And if you look at this, put my mouse on there so we can see 91, and it drops right down to 21% ready for today's solar. And then if you look at the solar, first rays came in 6:30, and we are the 19th of March at the moment, and we can then see the solar with the odd cloud going through during the day, and we then can see the battery from 21% slowly filling up with the excess solar. So now if I put the grid on, we can see what's happening. The battery is discharging here, and it's going to the grid, and you can see that we're putting our 6 kilowatt, which is our maximum, to the grid, and that then shows us the solar at the top, and the battery slowly increasing. So it's actually dropped a little bit of the discharge, but the battery's then making the decisions, because we've actually put the washing machine on and the tumble dryer, etc., because it looks as though it's going to be quite a sunny day. But yeah, this is quite a useful little tool, and you can flip back along the top. If I press the button up here, and I can look at what happened yesterday, it gives me the battery charging up at the off-peak, discharging through the daytime, and it didn't charge quite as much. It went down to 30%. The problem we then hit was by 12 o'clock the battery was full, and you can see at the top here it was cutting back the solar, and hopefully what's happening is the battery's learning to discharge more, and so it's gone down to a lower level, and then through the daytime, and then again here it's showing us how much we've discharged to the grid, and then again through the evening it discharged it all the way down, and it got down to 5% at night, which is the limit I've set it at the moment, probably a little bit lower, and then it started to charge up again at 12:30 with the cheap 7p electricity. And that helps the grid as well, because it's taking power from when all the turbines can't operate. And let me just show you a video of that. Well, it's one of those days that's quite overcast cloud-wise, but if I look at the app, you can see we're generating 0.7 kilowatts. Some's going to the battery, the Powerwall's filled that up, and the rest and the house, and some is going to the grid. So even though it's very overcast with 27 panels, we're almost getting a kilowatt out of power, and if you do that for 8 hours, it all adds up. I wanted to try and understand why home battery owners can buy power that is a quarter of the price, or let's say another way, 75% discounted of the normal daytime rate. Well, it's all to do with wind turbines. This is a website that's been put together by Octopus employees, I gather, and it shows volume of wind curtailed, switched back in the early hours of the morning, which couldn't be used, and they had to turn off wind turbines. So by having a battery, and all of us who have batteries can buy the cheaper rate, that's helping the grid, because we're then taking some of this power from here and then using it, and not using our power during the peak periods. You can see where the extra power is. There's too much wind. This looks like it's 6:30, see breakdown, volume of megawatt hours of wind curtailment. So this power couldn't be used during the daytime. So all of us who've got batteries are helping the grid by using those. So talking of batteries, in addition to the house battery, there is of course the car with its 62 kilowatt hour battery storage. I use this off-peak surplus wind power to charge my car, but I find I had an issue when I connected the car when the house battery had been installed. All done. Welcome to the world of Octopus Intelligent. Oh, brilliant. It can now manage your charging to make the most of it internally. Keep smart charging enabled and plug in as often as possible. But I found I had an issue charging the car. The way smart charging works is that whenever the grid has surplus power, Octopus Intelligent charges all the electric cars that need a charge. This helps the grid shift the demand to when there is surplus solar and wind. But this is what happened when I connected the house battery and the car. Hugh, I've got a question for you. How does the battery know when Octopus Intelligent is saying charge the car? Because I've just got the Octopus Intelligent working, and it looks like at the moment I'm just draining the battery to charge the car. I'm just going to come out and have a look at the car now. It desperately needs a charge, I know. It looks as though it's charging, but there's so much power going out. Yeah, it does. It's charging. I am utterly confused. To here, and Wallbox is busily sending 7 kilowatts. So is that Octopus Intelligent doing that? But it's coming from my battery. So if I go to Tesla, you can see my battery now is discharging 0.7 from here, plus that 6.7, 7.4 to the house. Can you tell me what's going on? Is this what happens with yours?
That is a Raspberry. Look, it's got a little raspberry on it, so you know that it's a Raspberry Pi.
Right. Very fortunate for me, along with my brother Hugh, comes his friend Ian, who installs Home Assist, which is run on a Raspberry or small computer, and this sorts the whole issue out.
So now we've got two automations. One that when it goes to 7p, it boosts the battery reserve to 100%, and when it goes above 10p, it actually restores the battery level.
And that will prevent it from draining the battery when Octopus Intelligent tells the car to boost. Because at the moment, it has happened the other day.
Yeah.
Octopus Intelligent was saying charge, and all it was doing is emptying our battery.
Yeah.
Nothing came from
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now, if you don't have a handy friend called Ian, and you have a house battery and an electric car to charge, the solution is to plug your car into Octopus Intelligent as late as you can in the evening, ready for the 11:30 p.m. session. Hopefully by that time your battery has already discharged to the grid. The solar battery system has been running for just over 2 months now. So what are my conclusions? Well, I'm really pleased with it. It has drastically reduced our home power bills. In fact, I'll go further. It has liberated us from the costly monthly annual bills that pursue all households. We've never used so much power. We're turning on tumble dryers and washing machines every opportunity. On sunny days, we're exporting as much as £10 to the grid. But what we do need is a second battery. There's a clear relationship between the number of solar panels and what the DNO grid will let you export. They have 27 panels with a 455 watt output maximum peak, and on occasions these panels are having to be shut down because there's nowhere for the power to go. So we can generate 11 kilowatts and the grid taking 6, so the second battery is really needed. What do I think could be improved? Well, I don't want to pay for any peak daytime electricity. There are days that I am paying for peak daytime, albeit in small amounts. but I resent all of that. So is it the battery still learning? Is it because how we operate the house? Will the battery learn with time? I don't know, but time will tell, I suppose. So in conclusion, I don't understand why every household who doesn't want to pay the ever-increasing power bills don't do this. There is a cost, there's a dramatic payback. It's a matter of being liberated from these power costs. So after 2 months and looking ahead, what am I hoping to do? Well, I'm hoping to go into the winter with a surplus in the account. I'm also hoping with 2 batteries, this will ensure that I'm able to use off-peak power all day long, especially in those long winter days. Time will tell, of course. Just as I'm wrapping up, look what arrives, our new Octopus energy bill. You can see our exports for 6 weeks, from the 15th of March to the 30th of April, is just over £300. So our £485 deficit is now reduced to £194. Isn't that brilliant? One always hopes one is making the right decisions, but this is a brilliant start. Paul, our installer, has just notified me that our second battery will be installed in 2 weeks. It will be interesting to see what this does. Once I've had it working for 6 to 8 weeks, I will share my experiences with you.